Peter Dutton and Anthony Albanese are both in Queensland today. The PM firing the starting gun on his on-the-ground campaign. He will also visit WA, the big mining state. So what do you think this says about where Labor thinks it can pick up seats?
Well, look, I think obviously there's going to be an election held this year. You know, the latest it can be held is May. It could well be sooner than that. That's really the Prime Minister's call. But I think, look, I'll leave Labor's electoral strategy to them to explain. But obviously as a coalition, what we'll be focused on is putting forward a strong alternative vision for government as a credible alternative. And we'll be seeking to appeal to voters, you know, not only in Queensland and Western Australia, but in New South Wales and Victoria, people with mortgages, people who are retirees, people who are just making a start in life, people who are concerned about higher electricity prices. This is where we hope to win the election, by commanding the centre ground.
Now, according to Nine Papers this morning, just on another topic, Israel's ambassador to Australia insists international pressure, including that coming from the Albanese government, will not hasten a Palestinian state. What's your reaction to that?
Well, my view has always been that a Palestinian state will come about as the result of negotiation between the two sides, the Israeli side and the Palestinian, and more broadly the Arab side. Now, that's been a bipartisan position of Australia for a number of years. What we've seen this government do and what we've seen them change is they've taken the view that a state can somehow be unilaterally imposed upon Israel. We've seen the government vote for one-sided resolutions in the General Assembly. We've seen them vote or support unilateral declarations about a Palestinian state. My view, you know, informed by the basic power realities of the area, is that Israel will only agree to the creation of a Palestinian state once they have sufficient security guarantees in place and once they're convinced that that Palestinian state will not be committed to their destruction. Now, you know, you've obviously seen with movements like Hamas, with movements like Hezbollah, they are committed to Israel's destruction, and there is no point Australia seeking to create a Palestinian state that would be controlled by entities like that. And I think that's where this government has got the strategy so wrong. They've put the cart before the horse, effectively.
Are you surprised President Biden has made one of the largest weapon sales to Israel at $8 billion US just before Trump takes office? And do you welcome the sale?
I do welcome the sale. I think it's important. Israel has always shown itself that it's willing to defend itself, but it does seek, you know, advanced military equipment from key partners like the United States. I think for Biden, this is about cementing his legacy as a president, a democratic president who has always been supportive of Israel, and he has shown that, in my view, since the 7th of October 2023, since the Hamas terrorist attacks, that whilst he, you know, would dearly like to see these conflicts brought to an end, whilst he would dearly like to see an end to civilian suffering, he also recognises that the only true way to peace in the region is with a strong Israel that is able to defend itself.
Israel confirmed on Saturday that negotiations for a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal had resumed in Qatar. Could this be the moment we see more hostages return, do you think?
Well, look, I would hope so. I mean, there's about 101 hostages still being held. We don't know what state they are in. I hasten to add, we don't know how many of them remain alive. They've been held now for 15 months. They have been held, by all accounts, in inhumane conditions. You know, they're not being held in internationally recognised facilities. They're not getting visits by the International Committee of the Red Cross or Amnesty or any other groups like this. And we've seen from the hostage videos that have been steadily released, including one just a few days ago, that, you know, they are in a distressing state. So I would dearly like to see the hostages released. I think what we can do in the international community to help bring about a ceasefire is to make sure that we stress that Hamas has done the wrong thing, that they should be releasing the hostages immediately and unconditionally, that the way this conflict ends and the way the suffering for the Gazan civilian population ends is for those hostages to be released. That has always been the key to creating an enduring ceasefire in this conflict. Hamas has been intransigent to date, and in part it's because they haven't faced sufficient international pressure to release those hostages.
Dave Sharma, appreciate you coming on this morning. Thanks so much. Good to see you.